Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this presentation, I would like to talk about teachers' perspective on digital game-based language learning for Arabic language in Malaysian primary schools. Digital game-based language learning, or DGBLL, refers to the learning approach that incorporates educational content or learning design into digital games. Okay, the use of digital game-based language learning to support English as a second language and English as a foreign language learners is not a new approach to address how educational technology can support language learning. Over the past decade, although some of the studies yield mixed results, more studies reported that the GBLL was effective for English language learning in vocabulary, pragmatics, grammar, writing, and speaking. Although extensive empirical evidence of the DGBLL has been collected, there is a paucity of reviews with a focus on applying DGBLL in other language, especially on the learning of Arabic language at the primary schools. It is important to canvass the literature on how DGBLL can be used to develop and increase students' motivation to learn Arabic language in an attractive way. Okay, the purpose of the study is to explore teachers' perspective on necessity of designing digital game-based language learning for Arabic language for enhancing the teaching and learning process in Malaysian primary schools. As the problem statement, although Arabic has been studied as subject in primary and secondary schools, a large number of students in Malaysia still cannot speak Arabic. Awang states that students do not have the confidence to use Arabic in and out of the classroom. Maybe because of hesitate or what. And Ghani said the weakness of the Arabic language has resulted in the impairment of the quality of teaching and learning of Arabic language in schools in Malaysia. So, researchers have identified that among the problem faced by students in Arabic learning or other second language is related to the vocabulary. Yes, vocabulary. Why vocabulary? So, vocabulary is an important aspect in language because it is the first step in learning any language. So, without vocabulary, learning language skills such as listening, speaking, reading, and writing cannot be realized successfully. In other words, vocabulary is an essential part of language. Ashinida and Ghazali verified that poor knowledge of Arabic vocabulary limits the ability of students to communicate, write, read, and listen to materials in Arabic. On the other hand, according to Rosny, teaching and learning the Arabic language in Malaysia at this present moment is facing enormous challenges as most Arabic language teachers still use the traditional method of teaching such as teacher-centered approach. This situation led to a lack of interest and considered as an unwanted subject for Malay learners. This considered as Arabic is an unwanted subject. Because what? Because of poor motivation. A survey comprised of 463 teachers around Malaysia has been gathered. The sampling methods using purposive sampling in focusing to those who teaching Arabic language in Malaysian primary school. The questionnaire consists of three components as follows. First, teachers' views on student performance in Arabic language classroom. Second, suggested types of contents. And third, suggested types of games. The respondents in this study were 463 teachers from several states in Malaysia. They were purposely selected by their school, identified as being among those who teach Arabic language in primary level. Demographic of this study, almost 55.1% of them in an urban area. Around 51% of them have experience in using language application on the web. Moreover, 81.7% of them have less than 15 years of teaching experience, while the rest have more. So, the teachers full of experience in teaching Arabic language. As for the gender for the respondent, 26.6% are male, while the other 73.4% are female. Most of them using Android as their smartphone operating system. The tables below show the major findings of the study that can be divided into three components. First component teaches views on student performance in Arabic language classroom. Second, suggested types of contents. And the third, suggested types of games. Okay, this is teachers' views on student performance in Arabic language classroom. I always have problem with students did not pay attention in Arabic class. Students have problems in memorizing the words. Students are not interested in learning Arabic language. Students lack confidence in speaking the Arabic language. Students have problems in reading materials in the Arabic language. And then students have problems to write the Arabic language. There's little interaction in Arabic language between students and teachers. Then students prefer the use of technology in learning the Arabic language. I expect that Arabic digital game-based learning will help students in acquiring Arabic vocabulary. Last, I expect that Arabic digital game-based learning will enhance the students' motivation in the teaching and learning of the Arabic language. This is teachers' views or teachers' perception on student performance in Arabic language classroom. Then the second component, suggested contents for digital game-based language learning. Contents consists of vocabulary, grammar, dialogue, and phrase. And the most favorite choose by the teacher is vocabulary. And the last is suggested types of digital game-based language learning. The types of digital games may be consist of jigsaw puzzles, maybe adventure, problem solving, simulation, strategy, role play, poison box, and last, superhero. For conclusion, the digital game-based language learning in the teaching and learning the Arabic language has well received by Arabic language teachers in helping students acquiring Arabic vocabulary and also increase their motivation in learning Arabic language. More importantly, this study suggests several types of games and contents that can serve as guidelines to game developers in making an interactive digital game-based language learning that fulfill the needs of the students in Malaysian primary school. Last, okay, this is an example of digital game-based language learning and it is part of our ongoing research. Okay. Lastly, thank you for listening to my presentations. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.